we're gonna start with an article, because there's a lot of good tidbits here to kind of start on, and just to remind everybody, just understand we're talking about how we're at a crossroads, and we're just kind of gonna be studying the sides of the crossroads. But to add to that, the DSA, the largest organization of socialists, supposedly, right? I didn't know they lost 12,000 people, members, over the last year. So they're in crisis, and it kind of illustrates the same crisis that as a left as a whole in the United States we have. So let's read. Political crisis emerges within leadership of Democratic Socialists of America. This is written by Eric London. I probably have read a lot of the authors on the World Socialist website. I probably read his articles the most. He talks a lot of the, squad sort of thing, the dynamics with the progressive Democrats. DSA reports on Jacobin. 2 years after the coming to power of the Democratic administration of President Joe Biden, a political crisis has erupted inside the leadership of the Democratic Socialists of America.
I'm glad this reckoning is happening. So I just want to say, because, and I actually echo this sentiment, because this is what Jimmy said, is what many people said as well. Like, when you talk to people on the grassroots and local DSA, I know a few people from local DSA, like, they're legit. Like, they want real change. They want to challenge capitalism, imperialism, and then they are let off the cliff. Then some are more radical than most. Some people call it out. Some people go along with it. But there are people that are on the right track, and then DSA lead them off the cliff. They point them towards the Justice Democrats. They point them towards incrementalism. So I'm glad this reckoning is happening, because now people are starting to acknowledge that, yeah, we want change, but it's not happening through this leadership. Like, wouldn't it be a good thing to have a good, even if they're to our right, even if they're not full Marxist communists, even it would be good to have a competent democratic socialist organization. I think that's just my opinion. Like, they was actually getting great stuff done. I would love this. So it's good to see that the internal fights are happening. Like, some social democrats will see this story and they'll be like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." I'll see this. I'm like, "Thank God this is happening." Thank God. That's good. But go ahead, CJ.
Me too. So I think I can read it from here. It's large enough. The crisis is rooted. Now, this is one of the things we snapshot this next paragraph, and we put up on YouTube, preparing for the show, or promoting the show. The crisis is rooted in the organization's inability to mask its increasing naked pro-capitalist, pro-imperialist essence. A long string of actions by the DSA is breaking down the illusion of thousands of DSA members who joined the organization believing it was an opponent of imperialist war and capitalism.
That's such a scathing paragraph.
Yeah.
It's
when I read that,
it's ruined their inability to hide their pro-capitalism, pro-imperialism, which is so on point. So on point.
And this is what I was saying, to add in what our conversation about, many conversations about the squad and progressive Democrats. It's like, these string of like things that they've done, these aren't just regular. They're just bad. These aren't regular, and it feels like the boutique left is trying to move on like these are regular just disappointments. And I'm telling you, this strike breaking is not a regular disappointment. Go ahead, Nick.
You have AOC who openly admit publicly that she never read Marx, but she's supposed to be a socialist leader. So then they keep making these mistakes, and then the serfs, people like them, they'll say stuff like, "Well, people criticize AOC because she didn't unlock communism." It's like, no, you guys are getting stuff wrong. That's not even advanced theory. Like, it's stuff that you're not even a Marxist if you know, like, don't break strikes. Like, this is like social democrat level bad. Like, even social democrats should see that and be like, "Oh yeah, that's wrong." So they don't make like bad calculated mistakes, or they don't fight and lose, which a lot of people have respect for. They like actually forced to vote and do stuff, and then they lost in good faith attempts. They lose in ways, and I don't know if their advisors know this when they calculate the pros and cons when they make these decisions, but they lose in the way that make them seem fundamentally incapable to achieve socialism or even democratic socialism. They fell in a way was like, okay, you don't understand even the basics of the basics of the basics. You know
right?
what I
If
mean?
your understanding of socialism is not based in ideology, you're just making up what you want. Let's get some imperialism here. Let's have some Ukraine funding here. Let's have some dome here. Let's fund the Capitol Police. Throw in some Medicare for all. It's a $15 wage. I'm it. I'm a leftist. That's literally
socialist.
That's literally what they think.
Is literally vibes. That's literally what it is.
All right, so let's continue with the article. But these actions of the DSA are exposing the reality that the DSA is nothing but a faction of the Democratic Party. Among the most important are the DSA elected officials. DSA elected officials votes to arm the Israeli occupation of Palestine, provide U.S. imperialism with tens of billions of dollars to escalate the war with nuclear-armed Russia, and illegitimize the potential strike by hundreds of thousands or 100,000 railroad workers. With the coming to power of Biden, the DSA has dropped the more confrontational veneer that it maintains while Trump was president. You notice that?
And that's exactly what we've been saying, right? Because remember, this is a point I made literally since we had a channel. Well, I said it's easy to sound super anti-establishment, super socialist when you got the Republican that the Democratic Party gave permission to go all in on. So when Donald Trump is president and he's expanding ICE, it's easy to abolish ICE. Donald Trump is a racist, imperialist, sexist pig. He's literally responsible for illegally deporting asylum seekers. We need abolish ICE. Look at all the human rights violations under his president. That is impeachment worthy. Then Democrat get in charge, spans the same system, the same human rights violations, and then they not a goddamn peep. Not a peep. So if you're a sycophant of AOC and Bernie and the squad, I guess you don't bat an eye. But once again, let's go back to the good faith DSA activists. The good faith DSA activists see this and they're like, get the fuck out of here. When we watch this, I'm speaking for myself and I think you as well. I'm not going after the individual members because I'm going after the leadership because they're not swayed by the DSA people. I know a lot of these people who left DSA. Heard a lot of people that shared horrible stories. I never was personally interested, but
we had a lot of DSA people technically in the general strike. It was a lot of people in the panels that were technically, the rank and file DSA, but they were never talking about that. It's always more of the leadership. And let's continue with this article. With the I read that part. Right here is where we left off. It represents its representatives in Congress have routinely promoted the false progressive bona fides of the Biden administration while denouncing left-wing criticism of his administration. It was in March 2021, shortly after Biden's inauguration, that AOC attacked anti-war and anti-capitalist criticism of the Democratic establishment as bad faith and privileged. DSA leaders acknowledge that this has produced growing disillusionment among the membership, with the leaders at a recent public forum noting widespread demoralization, exhaustion, and a mood of political uncertainty. A member of the DSA National Political Committee recently leaked information showing that 12,000 members have left the organization in the past year, and that many chapters and young groups, listen to this last part, many chapters and young groups have either disbanded or no longer responding to calls from leadership.
Damn.
The crisis has now broken into the open, does not reflect a movement among a section of the DSA leadership towards a break with the Democratic Party. And I'm going to say that again. This is key. You think, it's Ken Shambles. It's some people that want to lead the DSA. Oh, no. Lead the Democratic Party, I mean. Oh, no. That's not the disagreement. So let me read this again. The crisis that has now broken into the open does not reflect a movement among a section of the DSA leadership towards a break with the Democratic Party. On the contrary, two main factions agree on maintaining the DSA's longstanding role of functioning within the Democratic Party and the party primary electoral system. Where the factions disagree is over the best method for preserving the DSA's role as catchment area to trap left-wing opposition and contain it with within the confines of the Democratic Party, a mechanism which they fear is breaking down. This is what they fear. So is there this breaking down the ability for people to buy what we're selling about the Democratic Party is breaking down, Nick?
Yep. And can we take a second to admire the amazing irony that the Democratic Socialists of America is an anti-democratic organization? That's the whole point. Is they are trying to contain members of DSA who are they're going too far to the left to their liking. But instead of listening to these members and shaping this organization based around the overall opinions of the bottom of the organization, they are brainstorming and trying to figure out ways to impose the will of the top of the organization on down. What I tell you guys, what we need to reject top-down organizational structures. This story is showing that DSA is fundamentally, to its core, a top-down structure. We need horizontal structures. And that's what we're going to build at RBN chapters, where it's democratic. That's what Marxism is advocating for, the most democratic system possible. The way DSA is running it is not democratic. RBN is a democratic organization. We should head toward that direction, not the direction of elitism. That is the ideology that serves the capitalists and the empire. Oh my God, who had the degrees? He's the authority. They are imposing their ideology on the group. I want the group down. I believe in the dictatorship of the proletariat. I believe that people that fight for the best for themselves. If you have the majority of that, that will lead to the best of the majority. But anyway, I'm running now. Let's go ahead, CJ.
No worries. So let's talk about the two factions and what they differ on. One faction led by DSA staff and older layers with long experience in the Democratic Party, argue that the organization must deepen its institutional alliance with the Democratic Party in order to provide the Democrats with the popular left face that they urgently need in order to dampen growing social opposition in the population. Wow. Particularly over inflation and declining wages. Particularly over this, the DSA wants to be used as the face to make this look okay with the Democratic Party. It's disgusting the more I think about it, Nick. This faction is comprised of many DSA staff, including Vice Chair David Duhalde, I think that's how you say it, himself a former Democratic National Committee official. The other faction also calls for working within the Democratic Party and the Democratic primary process, but worries that the DSA is so exposed by its right-wing role that it is losing its ability to direct young people and workers away from what one leading DSA member called ultra-left groups outside of DSA. So she's talking about the Kashama Sawans. He's talking about the RBNs. Wow. They're finding it hard to corral that. Nick,
you guys see how cognitive they are of their role here? Unbelievable that they literally, like, you're a socialist in America. You're a socialist in America. And you're calling other groups ultra left. Like, I always like, and I remember to this day, even back when I used to call myself more of a social democratic socialist, when I met Rome, and then I was like, holy shit, there's so much to my left. What the fuck? And then I was like, I'm gonna keep talking to Rome. I'm gonna see what's going on. I want to see what this mother, because to me, something left of me is inconceivable. And I know that's crazy for me to say, but that was how I literally always thought. I was like, yo, I'm extremely anti-war. I voted Jill Stein in 2016. I'm voting Green Party 2020. I don't care what they say. I'm like, bro, I'm as left as it gets. Then I met someone left of me, and I'm like, all right, let me learn. Let me talk to these people. Let me figure out how you get more left of me. That's how I met Rome. That's the relationship between me and Rome, right? Meanwhile, look at the mindset of the DSA. They see people as ultra left as the horseshoe threat. Oh my God, the only person who can be more left than me, who can be more moral than me, they must be a bad faith actor. They must be so far left they are on the right, so they must be contained. Disgusting ideology that leads DSA, and exactly why I moved on from that general ideology, because I saw how it served the establishment, as you see here. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, so let me read a little more. So essentially, one of the things that is out in the open is over the hiring of this person that they're talking about. They basically had a job posting, Nick, to hire a straight Democratic operative. They basically put out a job posting to hire a Democratic operative, the DSA. And this is kind of what the two factions are fighting about. So it is not accidental that the immediate trigger for the crisis breaking into full view was the attempt by the national, remember that what the NPC stands for, a majority, to hire a Democratic Party hack as the DSA's electoral director. Though the cause of the crisis are more fundamental, but the causes of the crisis are more fundamental. But this is what has broken out. Now, listen to this job posting. The original job posting for the position of electoral director was made available to the World Socialist website. It emphasizes that the applicant must have substantial experience in the Democratic Party, setting a requirement of a minimum of 5 years of managing field-heavy electoral campaign, building durable and portable systems. Now, you tell me, by hiring somebody that is this entrenched in the Democratic Party or was, how does that change the DSA to be something different to go against the Democrat? How is that even possible? It begs to ask the question. But we can continue with 1 to 2 years of staff supervisory experience. While this is listed as a requirement, the fact that an applicant might identify as a socialist and be in general agreement with the DSA is only preferred. Oh God, what's happening at the DSA? Wow. The aim of the electoral director position is to deepen the connection between the DSA and elected Democrats and orient the work of the membership to electing additional Democrats. The job posting calls for building out our new electoral department, both through candidate and ballot campaigns, and notes that the applicant must be prepared to help overcome membership opposition to the Democratic Party campaign. So there's members. We're going to come back to this article. So there's members who are saying we're hiring somebody who needs to sell our members on more Democratic shit, man. You cannot make this up, Nick.